everyone, welcome to today's our first podcast. Our first guest today is Bradley Davis from the University of Pacific. He is the head coach for the women's basketball team. We're fortunate to have him today, and we're going to have a great discussion. Hey, I just want to thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you for making the trip for this. I really appreciate it, even though it's only like 2 miles down the road.
Is this podcast number one?
This
two,
is, you are a very
I don't know how that happened.
You are a very special individual. Outside of PowerCat,
That's right. Sorry, number two.
You are on podcast number one.
All right.
Podcast number one. A big thing for me, I want to talk to a lot of different people out in the community, what they do and how they came about of where they're at, in their careers. I think that's very important for us to share, not only just what Pacific Construction is about and the staff behind it and so forth and what we do. We want to be able to humanize, the community and make sure, we're also involved, right? And how much we've been involved, especially in your program, right? And what we've done and also what you guys do as a collective group, right? So I think that's very important. My first recollection is, I was in your office one day and I saw a picture. There was a picture of you in was it Chico at your high school? Yep. When you told me you were
teaching and coaching.
You're teaching and coaching.
Uh-huh.
How many years did you do that?
So I was at probably about 9.5 years total of assistant. Actually, longer than that, about 12 or 13 of assisting and head coaching. But only taught for 9.5 of those. So I started volunteering as an assistant coach at the high school level just so I can get a job at that high school, which is where I wanted to be. And once I was there, I was teaching English and coaching. And then, after you've been an assistant for a while, you get the itch to see if you can do it, and wanted to try the head coaching thing. So I actually head coached at Durham High School, which is a smaller school just down the road. And I was still teaching at Chico for 2 years before coming back to Chico as the head coach of the varsity at that point, kind of co-head coach with the guy who originally hired me as an assistant.
Nice.
So
when you were the assistant and you said you were volunteering, were you just basically your day job, right, was paying for everything, and you just took in the time every day for practices and games to kind of under someone's wing, right?
Even if you get paid at the high school level, you're not paid enough to do anything. I mean, I think our rival coach and we factored out what our rate of pay would be by the hour. It came out to like 7 cents an hour. The amount of time you spend coaching, whether it be practice or drawing up practice plans, out in the summer doing everything that you do as a head high school coach. So you're doing it because you love it and you enjoy it. You get a different level of connection than you do as a teacher. I have 170 kids as a teacher throughout the day, and you're grading papers, reading papers, lecturing. You don't have that same interaction, but as a coach, you have a little bit more one-on-one interaction with 14, 15, 13 players throughout pretty much the whole year. So it just gives you that different level of connection that if you love teaching and coaching, it doesn't really matter the medium, whether it be English or basketball, it's about reaching young people, students.
Right.
And if you enjoy it, that's why you do it.
And that was boys?
No, it was girls.
It was girls?
Yeah, so okay. I applied to be the freshman boys coach. I walked in, applied. I never coached. I wasn't ready to coach. But I saw the job that was available, and I just said, hey, I'm going to apply. Applied. The head varsity coach on the boys' side at the time, he looked me dead in the eye. He was like, you're not ready. He said, I appreciate you coming in, but you haven't had enough experience. You're not ready to head coach. I wish you all the best. You seem like a good person. Thanks for coming in. And that was the extent of the conversation, direct to the point. I walked out of the office, and I was like, well, that didn't go very well. Walking across campus, and this older guy kind of flags me down and says, hey, I talked to Coach Simmons, and he said you applied for the freshman boys job. I need an assistant. It's volunteer. I'll try to get you a couple $100 if you want to do it. I'm the girls varsity coach, et cetera. I was like, I don't know. I was 22 at the time, and do I really want to coach 18-year-old girls? It seems too close, all of that. He said, well, just show up, see if you like it. Showed up. They were really, really good. And I was like, they're, looked like they had fun, good team, everything, chemistry. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And so I just started. That's how I kind of got in. Fast forward to the end of my high school coaching, teaching career, that varsity boys coach who didn't give me the job was one of my biggest mentors and just great supporters. We co-taught together a number of different lessons, and just such a good person. But ended up becoming a huge part of my life. But the first interaction with him, he just cut me down, man.
He just chopped your legs and didn't look back.
Yep.
Didn't say, hey, let me help you up. It's like, chop your legs, see you later.
It was such a good thing because I wasn't ready. He was right.
He was right.
He was absolutely right.
And how did you feel when he said that to you, like at that time?
It's more like being thumped in the forehead and you don't really know how to feel or how to react. It's like, whoa. And then the turnaround was so quick to get another opportunity, which is all I really wanted was an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you get that. So I really didn't have time to get too low or too high or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was definitely that gut check. What it did teach me in as many times as I possibly can is to be direct with people. And just, I think it helped me in my communication as an educator, as a teacher, as a coach. I was like, that's a crazy example. He used to make cuts like that. Final day of tryouts, we're all in a circle. Wilson, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate your effort the past 3 days. It's not going to happen for you right now, but we appreciate it.
Wow.
It was just direct to the point, high school boys, and they took it, cried, teared up, but the team was right there to support them, and I don't know. I liked it. I valued it, and I value him so much.
Because typically, you
put a list.
You put a list, right?
No.
And you walk up, and you try to find your name, and you're like, "Oh man, did I make it?" And for me, it's like, my last name is Y or
so you're going all the way down
on the bottom, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna go look for the bottom, right? If you don't see, if I don't see my name, it's like, hey, you know what, I didn't make it, or all right.
He was direct to the point, face to face. If you wanted to talk to him, you could right then and there, but no list.
Wow. And so you did that for 8
Did
9
that
years?
for, I taught for about 9.5 years and coached a little bit more than that. And then Lynn Roberts got the head job here at Pacific. She was across the street at Chico State at the time as a head coach there and had great success, and then came down here as a head coach and through a couple of conversations asked me to come down with as an assistant. So I was a California public high school English teacher, and I took a big pay cut to come down as a Division I assistant coach. But
she didn't chop your legs though, right?
No, it was all positive. I kept my legs kept my legs, but yeah, my wife almost did. But
yeah. So Lynn, I know Lynn too. Great human being.
Absolutely.
I love her candidness and everything else, and I can see why someone like you would say, you know what, I'm in. I will come work for you and coach with you, and everything else. So that's very positive.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So from there, Chico, you transitioned down here as the assistant coach at Pacific. At what point did you feel like, this is next level? How am I going to grasp this? How am I going to connect?
Right away, because there's so many different things that happen when you're just coaching. And I mean, because you're in charge of the recruiting, fundraising, all of the above, when it's just coaching. Yes, you have to do that at the high school level as well, but pretty much, you have the kids that come to school and there's tryouts and you get that group. But when it comes to the recruiting piece and all of the other stuff, I was given, I think a lot more responsibility than I expected as a first year assistant coach in college.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of trust, which I'm so grateful for. But at the same time, it hit me quickly. Like, I have no idea what to do as a recruiting coordinator. I have no idea what to do in scheduling their classes, et cetera, and how the university works with their majors and all of that. And that was all on my plate as well.
Yeah.
The basketball side of things, it's a level up because you're dealing with better players and you're dealing with better, going against coaches who have been doing this a long time. And so that part's all level up, but everything else was just brand new.
Yeah.
And so it hits you quickly, and the amount of work that it takes hits quickly.
Honestly, I feel like that's really good because, like it's similar to me, in the industry I've been in, I've started from the bottom and worked my way up. I got to learn how to crawl before how to walk before I know how to run, right? And it's those situations where I took on a lot of those, let's call it failures, right? Those failures
big time.
have impact to success, right? They turn into that, and to me, I'm able to kind of take those and ride with it, right? Because if I didn't, if I felt like it was a perfect world, I would never know what failure is. I would never know how to improve. I would never know how to be, a better human being.
Yeah, and that goes the conversation. Chris and I were having a conversation coming in. Like, how'd you meet Wilson? How'd you guys develop this relationship? And I was like, well, first it started. He was working for another company and kind of helped sponsor. I think it was Education Day.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we did two.
We had 2 education days where Stockton community kids and student classrooms come to our game, and then I think the way I phrased was, all of a sudden, yada yada yada, he has his own company, and in that yada yada yada, there's probably failure, success, and you found that way. But
yeah,
it's an exact conversation.
110%. And what's funny is, that is actually a good question. Like, how did we all meet, right? Mm-hmm. And it was the days that, I was on the PAF board, right? And I met all the coaches and got involved and so forth. And I remember having you guys over, Lynn and everyone else over, had the team over at our house, catered dinner and all that, which now my backyard doesn't look like what you guys came over. It's a full-on basketball court now, and just became a basketball coach myself, right, with my kids. So it's crazy. We actually did those 2 sponsorships, and I remember, and I so remembered the one game. It was the UConn game.
Yep.
Okay. And it was just like the hype, right? Everyone was all about like, UConn this, UConn that. And it's kind of like, great. We're going to compete at a high level with a top school, in the country. And, it has resonated and it sat in the back of me. It's like they lost to Stanford right after. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were the last win of their streak of 90 whatever games. Yeah, thanks. That was fun.
Oh, sorry. I know, salt in the wound. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. But it's one of those things. Like I remember that was one of the sponsorships that we did in my past life to, where we're at now, where I've kind of grown to a lot of the different department of the sports, right? Like you guys and, men's basketball and softball and knowing the entire staff over there, right? And being an advocate supporter of everyone, and try to do what we can for the student athletes, right?
But what a successful, that event that you helped put on and, help make happen. What a successful thing for the community, though. In terms of, you have the story in women's basketball, almost in basketball, period, with the winning streak that they were on, and the people that were on that team, and the coach coming to Stockton, just sold out the arena completely. Probably asked the fire marshal, way oversold that place. And from my understanding, UConn stayed and signed every autograph that was asked of them, and it was just, and obviously Pacific. Under Lynn's watch, we went on to climb and win a championship, and it added to everything that we were doing and everything that was going on in the community.
What's funny when you brought that up? We're at the Davis game. You guys were on the road. Mm-hmm. We're at Davis game, and Erin Butler, she sat. I sat right behind the bench. I remember she wasn't suited up, and it was
she was redshirting.
It was it was down to us and I think Irvine. I can't remember. There was another school that we were top with to win the conference.
Yeah, it was Cal Poly.
Cal Poly. So here I am sitting behind her, and I hear the girls chatter in the bench. I'm telling you this. I know it's in the past now, but I know they should be focusing on the game. But I could hear 2 of the girls. Erin Butler was one of them. And she's just like, "Does anyone know?" Whispering, just, "Anyone know the Cal Poly game?"
Your coaches were doing the same thing,
right? So here I am. I'm on the phone, and they lost, and I said they lost, and you just hear it go down the bench.
Yeah.
Cal Poly lost, and we were winning. We had to win. They had to lose.
Yep.
to take.
No, I remember that. I remember that game, and I remember somebody had told Lynn somewhere in the game, and I think in a huddle before she went into the timeout, she was like, "Well, we know Cal Poly lost. Do I tell the team or do we not tell the team?" Because it was like a one possession game. I mean, it was just kind of
Yes.
we were kind of flatlined. We weren't playing like to our potential, I don't think, at that point. And the consensus was, yeah, go tell them. She told them, and we just started climbing.
Elevating.
Yeah, the whole game elevated. It's like, oh, there's this opportunity out there, and that group, and that's where you credit the players as well. It's like that group and their mentality. It was the switch they needed.
I love it. I love it, man. That's good stuff. And I know I've spent a lot of time with you guys and your program, and definitely a lot of memories, that I will always take with me, and all the stuff that we've done road trips to team outings and the dinners and all that. And I mean, hell, there was in that one time you guys played Arizona. We drove down to Tucson and just to have lunch, and we weren't able to make the game, but we had to leave, and so it was one of those things that will always stick in the back of my mind, that we've enjoyed those moments.
And those are the things I think for our student athletes that are so valuable, whether they're winning or losing. When you have people like yourself, companies like Pacific that are invested in their success and just in them. It just means a whole lot, and it makes it makes being in a place like Pacific just a special thing.
Yeah, definitely. I so Lynn moves on, and obviously she's in her world of success, and like I said, I mean, I totally respect her, and I miss her dearly and all that, and now you take the helm, right? And you're like the captain of the ship, how now this is your next transition. Like how did that go for you to be like, what? I'm ready for this. I'm going to take this and go to war.
I don't know. Any decision like that, everything comes into play, from family to where you want to be to what options it's going to create for you later.
Yeah.
Like all of that comes into play, and that's hard. That was a hard decision. Those were hard decisions.
Yeah.
And after you're working with somebody who you love dearly and respect dearly, and the working relationship is great, and the friendship is great, to think to change that at age whatever I was. 41, whatever. It's like, okay, do we make that kind of change? Whatever it's going to be a change.
Yeah.
And so that's a hard decision.
Because at the time,
it's a lot of soul searching.
Yeah, because at the time she was ready to bring everyone. Right, pretty much.
I can't speak for her on that, but I know I had the option to do that, that was a hard decision.
Yeah.
It was hard, but what makes it easy. Once you I guess what makes it exciting is once you make it, you think of what you can do and how you can do it your way and what you want to do, and no, disrespect to any which way it had been done before, but that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it anyone else's way.
Right.
And so there's going to be some change, but that's the exciting piece.
Yeah.
In full honesty, I thought that would probably be my only opportunity, maybe one of my only opportunities to be head coach was in that kind of scenario, of a Division I women's basketball team.
Right.
Just being who I am, it's in the sport, and I figured I should jump at it.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome, because for me, I feel the same. When you become a self-employed individual and you're your own captain of your ship, you kind of like have to feel like, okay, how do I become that leader?
Yeah.
Right. Just similar to you, like how do you become a good head coach to your staff, your team?
And it's hard, because do you think you're ready? Like, you can say yes and no to that answer.
110%.
Question.
I mean, for me, I'm like, I wasn't ready.
No, not at all.
I just jumped in, and I'm just like.
But at the same time, you're ready for the challenge, but you're not ready for everything that's coming until you actually face it.
Yeah, and when I jumped into it, my biggest fear was how do I put food on the table?
Yeah.
You know, how do I put food on the table in the family? Like,
Yeah.
you know, because am I going to be successful, or am I going to fall flat on my face and then realize that, hey, this isn't for me, and I need to go find a job with someone else?
And that's the stressor, is that, you know your professional success or failure is going to determine a whole lot with the family,
Yeah.
with the personal side of things. And I think there were a couple of years where it was, after we got through that rebuilding or the building part of doing it yourself, it's okay, now this has to show some success in order for me and us to be able to keep doing this.
Right.
And like there comes that time, and for us it was like that third, fourth year. It's like we have to show success in this.
Yeah.
And I know I was stressed, and I know my family probably felt that as well.
Yeah.
But I felt that too.
Yeah, because I remember the stress for me. It was like, how do I put food on the table? And then you go through, the first year of going, oh my God, I made just a fraction of what my salary was before. And that was like my first year, and I had to figure out, like, is this really for me? And then, same thing. It's like, how do I improve the next year? How do I show success? Like exactly what you're saying. How do I show success moving on to the next year, to the following year, and so forth, to make sure that, hey, you know what, like, all right, I got this. I can do this. And now how do I elevate this?
Yeah.
How do I, add staff? It's just like I said, how do I add my all-stars and my rock stars on my team, and be able to be even more successful and try to, bring that to the table. I think those are good. Those are key, actually not good, but they're key factors.
Oh, that's the biggest factor, is adding, as you said, the all-stars. So you have to add the people that are going to make you better.
Yeah.
And take what you think you know to a different level.
You know what's funny is, it just cracks me up, because I know you're a competitor. I just know it, 110%, just like any coach would be, right? And I traveled with you. I know I've told you this story, and I know you hate this story.
Yeah,
but
it makes me look bad.
I have to, because you know what, it brings out a competitive nature, not only in you, but I see it in myself. Because we went to LA, and we played LMU and Pepperdine in that swing, and you and I had an agreement, like, hey, you know what, we're gonna go grab some dinner.
Was it in that order? I think it was Pepperdine, then LMU.
Pepperdine, yeah, and LMU, yeah. So we go play at Pepperdine, and we're like, before the game, we're like, yeah, Wilson, like after the game, we're gonna get on the bus, we're gonna head down the coast and get closer to LMU, and we're gonna go do dinner.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
110%.
I don't know where you were.
And in the nicest way, we shit the bed.
Yep.
We
did
shit
not
the
play
bed.
well.
We did not play well. We lost that game.
Yep.
And here I am at the hotel, sitting by myself, and I'm going, where's Bradley? I'm like, should I text him? So I reached out to Amanda Leland, and I'm saying, hey, listen, I know you guys are doing a team meeting right now. How's it going? And she's like, coach is mad. Coach is pissed. And it's pushing about, I think it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I was like, man, I'm getting pretty hungry now. And I think I better go to dinner.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to go to dinner with Bradley, right?
Yeah.
I got dinner by myself, and the next day we get up and we go and we go to LMU and we played, right? But it's not the fact that you stood me up. I'm still going to hold that against you as a friend, right? But the competitive nature in you, I have that in my industry, because I want to compete. I want to be competitive. I want to go to war. I'm cutthroat. I want to win every job, right? I want to win every project that I can, because I want to be able to try to be successful and try to put food on the table for not only myself, but for my staff, right? And it's just funny because I can relate to that. I'm going like, it doesn't have to be sports. You have to be competitive, right? And I look at that, and I use a lot of that here, and in the sports world of, and we do, honestly, our staff, we have a ton of sports lovers, from basketball to baseball to football, and we always jab at each other, like, hey, how are them Niners, or how are them Raiders, or whatever it is, right? And we have that competitiveness, here, and it shows, because there are times like when it's a loss, like I take it personal, I do, and it's like it's a loss that I don't want to have, and it's tough, right? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I get over it, just like any coach would, but sometimes it does sit a little bit inside.
I think you said it, you want to compete, and I think after those games, if I feel like we didn't compete, then I take that personally,
Right.
Because that's part of my responsibility as head coach is to make sure that we put a group out there that's ready to compete.
Yes.
And if we didn't do that, which I don't feel like we did in that game versus Pepperdine, then I'm searching for the answers. Like, okay, how do we
Yes.
flip the switch back on and get this ship on the right track, or head in the right direction again? That's where I take it personally, and I'm searching for answers, because it's not just so and so's fault or so and so's fault. This is a whole group fault, and that's where I've got to find more answers to that. And I don't feel like having dinner.
Hey, it's okay. It's
I don't
okay.
feel like-
Because now I realize that, if I travel with you, that I got to know what the outcome is.
But it's not solely dependent on, I mean, we could lose. We could get beat, and we can compete in it. We can get beat.
Right.
I can handle that. But the other stuff, we got to find answers. We got to find it quickly.
Oh yeah, 110%.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. If we lose something, we lose a project, and I always do the same thing. I always reflect back, like, man, how could we have gotten better?
We did everything we could.
Did we
Just
or
got
did we
beat.
not? I don't
Right,
know. Right.
exactly.
And until I dig into it, like, you know what? We did make a mistake. Okay, we need to do this better
Right.
next time. And sometimes I do sound like a broken record, but I think ultimately we strive to be better every single day. To be successful in what we're doing. That's awesome. So tell me now, you've gotten to this point. The accolades are now starting to, stack. In the sense of, you're developing the players, the athletes that you have. Some of them are moving on professionally. I mean, you had one get drafted by the WNBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which she came back to work for you, Val, where.
I know her.
Yeah, you know her. Yeah. Maybe I can.
Met her a couple times.
Yeah, met her a couple times.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that now you've kind of built a resume per se, right? Like
Right.
in the sense of what you started with before, when you transitioned over to be the head coach, to now it's kind of like, hey, players, everyone out in the world, they know who you are. They know who Pacific women's basketball is all about, right? How does that stack up against what you've achieved so far, and kind of like what's your next goals for that?
Well, I think similar to probably you, it's all about growth. So how can we continue to grow the program? And our program is part of a whole, and you see things so holistically in wanting Pacific to grow, the university to grow, and to be just a small part of that, but to compete in our small part so that we can all have some success. And I think the longer I've been at Pacific, and it's been going on 18 years now, the more invested I am in the whole, wanting success for the whole. And I love the success the university is having, with President Callahan, with Adam Shore. I think we're on such a good track right now.
Yeah.
With admissions, having one of our biggest freshman classes in years, which is a great sign, and then just WCC adding a couple schools. I just think there's such opportunity for Pacific, so I want to be just a small part of that, but hopefully a valuable small part of that.
Yeah.
But that'd be one answer. The other answer is I don't know what's next. I wasn't teaching high school English thinking I really want to be an assistant coach at Pacific. That wasn't the goal when I was doing it. I just wanted to be a great English teacher and a decent high school coach at the same time. And I think that if you focus on that, then the next opportunity kind of presents itself, like we said, when maybe you're not ready for it, but all of a sudden here it is. You're going to give it a shot. Same thing with head coaching. That next opportunity presented itself when maybe I wasn't ready for it, but here it is. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I definitely can relate, because is when I started out, it's a lot of the, hey, Wilson, we know who you are. We know you got strong capabilities, but, this size project isn't really ready for you, kind of like the coach that, just lopped your legs, right? It's the same thing. You're just like, hey, put me in, like I'm ready, and, you don't get those opportunities where, fast forward to now, it's like we have developed and built so much of that portfolio that we can walk into any situation and be able to say, like, we can do it.
Compete.
We can compete. We can do this size project because now we've, who we are. We've built a reputation. We've built a strong, a portfolio, and there's nothing you can say now that says, like, hey, you can't do it,
Exactly.
and now it's more like, when is that going to be the opportunity to get that shot, right? And same thing with, you building a team. I'm doing the same thing where, I get a bunch of, all-stars and put a team together and say, hey, look, this is my A team, and this A team will take care of you, Mr. Client, from, start to finish, and rest assured that, we got your back 110%, right?
Exactly. No, I think it's my first priority when I was hired was to hire people. And I know, super confident in the fact that I've hired great people to make me better, and to, most importantly, to lead the young women, of Pacific Women's Basketball.
Yeah.
I just know we've got good people around them as adults, even though our players are adults as well, but who've seen a little bit more life and can help guide as people, as well as athletes, as well as students.
Yeah. Now, 18 years you mentioned at Pacific, right? Basically, your kids have start to finish.
My oldest was 1, and she's now out of the house, and youngest is now 14.
Isn't that crazy?
Going on 15.
It's wild.
My phone's been blowing up. I think that's her.
She needs money.
She needs something. Hopefully she doesn't need a ride.
Talking about rides, before you take off today, I pulled out my my Bandit truck.
Yes.
I
just want to sit in it.
I took it to lunch today to Dave Wong's.
Okay.
I thought you were going to be there.
No, spring coaches. I'm winter.
Sorry. I guess I didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo.
If I was supposed to be there, I didn't get the memo either. So.
I took it there, and anyways, I pulled out the ride for you, man. And
did other people get to see it before I did? That's okay.
No, actually.
Nobody got out?
No, I got there right before, when everyone was already inside. We went in, had lunch. We actually left early because we had to come back, and no one saw us leave. So,
okay.
And no.
Where'd you park?
In the
Did you
parking
take
lot.
up like 3 parking spots, make sure nobody hits it?
No, I wouldn't do a thing like that.
Yes,
man.
you would.
You're right. I would. I would. No, I actually.
I would have.
I actually, just took one spot. I was being a gentleman. I did not, be that person.
Did you walk the car to see if any?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. So now that you have one in college,
Yeah.
and now you have one that's, high school and
Thinking, talking college.
Has being at Pacific, helped a lot of the, the decision making and things like that, because now that you've been tenured, right, that a decision is easier than, a coach that might be like, hey, you know what, we're going to move to the Midwest, or we're going to move back east, right? And to where, family decisions are a lot more easier now.
Yeah. I don't know about easier. They just change all the time. So, you think you have, when your kids are little, when they're 1 and 4, you think, I have no time. I've got a 1-year-old, we have a 4-year-old, our time's all gone. And then all of a sudden they get older and they have lives. So now I have a life. Corey, my wife, has a life. My oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, they have a life. And now we're trying to navigate 4 lives. And then one moves away and you think, it's going to get a little easier, or in terms of time. but still you want to spend that time going to see her. So it's just always, it's always changing.
Right.
So yeah, in some ways decisions become easier. Oh, we don't have to think about what school or this, or, you know, changing one person's school versus two. But in other ways, it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know, because I see a lot of
It's just
coaches that when they
different.
transition, they come here, they're new coaches, or they leave, and it's like they pack up. They're like, "Hey, I'm
No,
moving,"
I've been
you know,
remarkably fortunate to be in one
know.
place for 18 years.
Yeah.
It's unique, and fortunate is really just the best word I
Yeah.
can come up with. It's worked out for me, for my wife's work, and for my family, my daughters, to be able to grow up in one place and go to school. It's not the way I grew up. I moved all the time, and just crazy fortunate for that. But you know, opportunities, times change, you know, things change. You have to be ready for anything. But
Right.
you know, that's a decision we'll make once we get to it.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. What are your motivations every day? What motivates you?
The competitive nature.
Yeah.
You want to go out and compete every day and win whatever it is at that moment. It's a successful practice. I want to win. If it's a recruit and I know who we're going up against, I want to win. If it's my daughter's volleyball game, I want to go in. I want to win. It's just I love competing. And then if you go back to all of that has to do with relationships and the people, you know, you're competing for. You're trying to bring people into your family. You want your family to be successful. That's really the biggest thing for me. I think, you know, that's why I've wanted to teach. That's why I've wanted to coach. Is I want to help people find success and see success. And if I can do that, you know, some way, somehow, that's gratifying for me.
Yeah.
As I get older,
Right.
I realize, you know, that, you know, the team makes fun of me because I get weepy and whatever on senior night, and it's just to see them go through, you know, 4 years of learning and ups and downs and hating me or not hating me, and, you know, winning games and losing some tough ones, but to come out of it successful with this, you know, great group of people that are going to be in their lives forever. That part gets me.
I do notice that. You know, I know you post on your social media, you know, when, you know, one of your former players get married, or you know, they have a child, and you know, I always see them, you know, to have the, you know, like a picture with you kind of thing, and it's one of those, you know, situations you look back and you're like, you know, yeah, that's one of my, you know, joys and pride of like being a coach and being a mentor and leadership to become, you know, who, you know, you are today, right?
You're gonna remember. I mean, I will. You know, you get to the point when you've been around long enough, they start talking records and how many wins and this and that, and I know I'm gonna forget a whole lot of that. But the relationships that you have, you know, the people that have come into my life and my family's life, and, you know, not only have I been a part of theirs, they've been a part of mine, and watched my daughters, you know, grow up and help raise my daughters. You know, we had dinner with Sam Pettinger, who played Pacific a while ago, right before our San Diego game. She lives down in San Diego with her husband and their new son, Trayson. And that was just a special couple hours just to get to catch up with somebody, you know, and what she's doing now in life, and, you know, with her family. And that's the good stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. Man, that is awesome. Is there any one player throughout your whole entire career, you know, from high school to now, that there's just that one player that you're like, you know what, one, I've made a huge impact in that individual, and two, you know, they've been thriving in life and doing the things that they're doing?
That's hard. I don't know if I could do that. Honestly, I can't do that one. But I will say there's, you know, that first team I had at Durham with Shannon and Leanne and Erica and everyone, that team I will remember for just the individuals on the team as well as the team. Durham High School, 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
It was just a special group of kids that were like, okay, here's this guy who's never head coached before in his life, and, grew up in Central Africa, and now here he is in Durham, California, farm town, going to coach us,
Wow.
to whatever. And I had a great time. There was, I think, 8 or 9 players on the team total. And it kind of validated for me that, hey, I can do this if I keep putting time into it, keep working at it. And also validated the reasons why, because we did have some ups and downs, and we had some stuff off the court that we had to help with, and all of the above. But when you're looking at Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, and seeing their families and their successes in life, professionally as well, that whole team that's pretty fun to look back on.
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure this out for myself. I admire you, as a coach, and how you balance your work life. When you say work, it's coaching, right? And your personal life is your family, right? And so forth. Like exactly what you were saying about, every individual in your household has a life, right? And I look at that on my end of it going like, I coach, now just my son. I used to coach both my kids. And I look at that, I'm going like, how do I balance that with work?
Yeah.
And, there have been times I've had my lows. Like I kind of sit here and I go, am I really made out for this? Am I really made out to be a coach for these kids? And I always look back and I go, second guessing, my ability, and if I can do it or not. And it's crazy because I've coached them to championships. I've coached them to be successful. I coached them to be winners. And then there are times like, man, we're just in a rut, and I just can't get out of this rut. And is it me? Is it am I the factor, right? So I always look at that, and I relate that to even work. I look at that as like, man, we're successful, because I'm leading a good ship, and we're getting good projects, and everyone's busy. And then when it's the low of lows, I kind of sit, look back, I'm like, man, am I really a good leader? Do the staff hate me? Just like, do my players hate me? It always goes through my mind, and I always, almost like I need that validation, like it's okay, right? But I know, like I'm doing it right. I just know. But there are just those times it just hits me. I'm like,
That's where all those phrases come from, lonely at the top or whatever it might be. But you're surrounding yourself with good people, and I've watched you manage it all in terms of manage the business, texting with you, and I know you're at this game or that game, or at Disneyland or wherever it is, and you note that as like, wow, I didn't take my kids to Disneyland. I got to do more like Wilson does, or that kind of. But you've obviously found a way to try to do it all, even though I'm sure you feel, as I feel sometimes, you fall short on some levels of trying to. And I think that's kind of natural. When you're talking with Leanne, or when Corey and I are talking, and on times where maybe we should be together more as a family, or nope, is this that time where we have to divide and conquer and get things done? Is this just that time of life where this is the age our kids are, or whatever it is? You're always just trying to figure it out, and having a good partner in life and having good people around you, they help you figure that out.
Yeah. No, I think that those are key. Those are definitely key factors. My biggest thing is like, I don't want to fail my kids, that's the biggest thing, right? Regardless if it's like being a parent or being a coach, right? Like you don't want to be the reasoning of their failures, right? Because, I always look at it as like, I failed enough in life to where, it got to me to where I'm successful, where I'm almost to a point where I'm kind of like, okay, maybe you guys do need to fail.
Yeah.
And then you can be successful, not like try to, coddle and make them just, all they know is success, right? And when they fail, it's like the end of the world for them, right? And so there's a lot of that kind of plays into, the mental side of things, and to make sure that, we're doing right as parents, coaches, and human beings,
Yeah. And that's where business and sports are that example of, failures. Those are lessons.
Yeah.
If you approach them the right way,
Yeah.
they're lessons, and therefore not, a failure. That's something you need to harp on as a failure, but more, what did I learn from this work? And that's what I know our kids, they have to do. They've got to have that opportunity to do it so they can learn.
Right, right. Overall, time management. What do you look at on your end of it that's been successful for you?
Interesting. I think I've changed a lot of how I do it and what I do over the years, especially once I became a head coach. I felt like as an assistant coach, I don't know if I managed my time well at all. You're always going, you're always worried. You got to go here recruiting, you got to go there recruiting, period, end story. And I had to, and it was also segmented. I could focus on, the post during season, the position coach, et cetera. I knew when to focus on, being a recruiting coordinator and the calendar, et cetera, et cetera. It was kind of segmented for you. But as a head coach, there's so many other things that come into play. So I had to organize myself a lot better at the beginning. I mean, just break it down to the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
And plan out, this has to get done today. My wife gets frustrated because I actually use a calendar at work, and I organize the day. I have a daily organizer at work, but I don't have any of that at home or do any of that at home, and I should probably, but I don't. And so I had to figure out how to manage my time better that way. And the biggest thing I did early was getting rid of some of the busy work at the very beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Just in terms of replying to every email, organizing what's going to happen each day.
Yeah, because I'm the same way. I live and die by my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not on my calendar, I don't do it.
Yep.
If it's on my calendar, I'm there. There's a big snafu that happened in my household more recently because obviously I'm a coach and I've already booked out all my tournaments between January all the way to like almost July of this year, right? And there's a family trip.
You better change
That already booked. And I said, man, you know what? I already committed. I paid the fees. We're going to go play. We have got to move this family trip. And the comment was made like, hey, what? We've been talking about this. I said, you know what? It's not on my calendar. When it was empty, it was free. I'm booking it, and now it's on my calendar. I'm living and dying by it. I can't, and it's hard to make those changes sometimes, right? Because now I have adapted my life to that. It's really strange.
Yeah,
really strange.
Yeah, some calendars are more fixed than others, and the recruiting calendar is fixed. Our season is fixed. My wife's job, there are fixed parts of harvest and planting, all those, they're fixed. This is when it happens, and so there's stuff you can't move. So for us, the same way that vacation gets moved around a lot. So if we have an opportunity to set a vacation date, we try to protect that like it's gold because otherwise
fend off everyone on get away.
And we're at the whim of a 16 or 17-year-old who has her and her family's obligations that wants to visit at a certain time, and I can visit June 7th, but I'm supposed to be in Hawaii June 7th, the one bit time we're on vacation. It's like, there goes that,
Oh,
so
man.
It's part of schedule.
Oh, man. What's right now your middle season, and you guys are doing just fantastic, and exciting to watch, and just the energy is just, you can just see it on the bench. You can see the camaraderie of the team. I'm hoping that this leads to, the rest of the season to be successful for you, and into the tournament, and hopefully we get a shot at the big stage, and get to go. That's
all we can hope for, is that we give ourselves that shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good group, and I think we had some ups and downs a little bit. Fortunately, more ups and downs beginning part of the season. But we did get a little bit of a gut check going into Christmas. or coming out of Christmas, going into New Year's with Columbia, and great team, good team, but I think for them, they kind of displayed some of the stuff that we needed to and could fix quickly.
Yeah.
And the team, to the team's credit, they did that. And I think it's given us some momentum going into kind of what we see as these next 3 weeks are going to be probably the toughest of the conference season.
Yeah.
And we'll see where we are when we come out of them.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm super excited. Looking forward to seeing you guys play this season and also in Vegas as well.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of go from there.
So you're just gonna go to the Super Bowl in Vegas and then just stay? Is that kind of the plan? You can just wait for us there.
That has crossed my mind, but
you have to stay a couple of weeks, so you might get bored.
Yeah, I'm gonna get bored. I am looking forward to it this year. That the Super Bowl is in Vegas, but also the fact that being able to go to Vegas and watching you guys play be super awesome. Because the reason why, like last year, we went, right? Marissa and I went, and it's one of those things that we, we're like very superstitious, right? We sat in the same seats, wore the same clothes every day. You guys kept winning. And I'm looking at Marissa, I'm like, we ain't going home. We ain't going home. And, it's to a point where we had to go shopping for chonies, and we ran out because it's like we needed to stay. And we were on a roll, right? And it's one of those things, like I got into an argument, in the home front and saying like, hey, you know what? We're staying. And it's like, no, she needs to go to school. I'm like, no, we are winning. It's that competitive nature, and it's exciting, and we're looking forward to seeing that.
Same story. My daughter was a senior in high school, at the time, and she begged like, hey, last time I can I go? So she came and was there the whole trip, and we had to write letters just so that she could go to the prom and so she could go to graduation, because she ended up missing too many days where she was automatically out from all that. So fortunately, she was a good student, and I think she knew a couple people.
Yeah.
Pull some strings to get her back in graduation.
I love it. Yeah, no, we're looking forward to
good.
This year.
We're looking forward to having you there. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and again, thank you for coming on, and
thanks for having me.
And it's exciting, and we're very fortunate that we have a great friendship, and we have a great relationship of the two different professions that we both have,
100%.
But we all have the same bond of competitiveness and sports and coaching. So thank you again, Bradley.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Coming on. Appreciate it. Love it.
Hi, I'm Bradley Davis, head coach of Pacific Women's Basketball, and I'm talking with you at Pacific Construction Podcast. I'm talking with Pacific Construction Podcast and Wilson U.